sudah berangkat ke Taiwan 3 kali sekarang. Pertama kali bekerja di pabrik. Selesainya nggak baik-baik dan kontrak Tari dihentikan. Kenapa? Karena Tari meminta apa yang mereka janjikan kepada Tari. Akhirnya Tari dipulangkan. Jujur Tari menolak untuk menyerah dan Tari merasa harus kembali lagi ke Taiwan. Taiwan itu tidak seindah foto profil di Facebook. Sponsor dan PJTKI selalu punya mulut manis untuk menebar rayuan. Janji-janjinya itu kadang berbanding terbalik dengan kenyataan. Yang penting kambing-kambing ini cepat terbang dan akan jadi uang. Kami kan komoditi yang diperjualbelikan. Seharusnya Tari sudah pulang setahun lalu. Akan tetapi COVID mempersulit situasi. Apakah Tari mau pulang? Tentu saja. Ini saatnya untuk menuai apa yang Tari dapatkan di Taiwan. Sekaranglah saatnya.
And welcome back to the daily wrap-up on C Today, broadcasting from home. And as people say, there's no place like home. But there are those who have been forced to move away from their homes and become migrant workers due to various reasons. And one of them, probably the main ones, would be economic reasons. And unfortunately, some migrant workers can face problems such as pre-departure costs and unfair treatment from employers. Now, although there are regulations in place to protect Indonesian migrant workers, they are rarely enforced, unfortunately. Tari is one such migrant worker, and her story about living in Taiwan has been made into a documentary animation film called Homebound. And to find out more about this documentary film, today we are connected with the film's producer, Calpakdjian, and animator Wulang Suni. Hello, good evening, guys. Thank you for joining us on the daily wrap-up.
Hi, thanks for having us on.
All right, I'm going to ask about the film itself. Let me ask Nick first, as a filmmaker. Why are you concerned with the issues affecting Indonesian migrant workers?
Yeah, well, I guess for me personally, the issue was quite foreign. Like, I'm originally from Australia, and the idea of domestic workers, nannies, drivers, it's something that's very foreign to us. We don't have that back home. And when I moved to Indonesia about 10 years ago, it was one of the things that really took me by surprise, was the prevalence of domestic workers. And so I was just naturally interested in these people, where they came from, and what drove them to be moving from their villages to Jakarta, and then also abroad to work. And then it was, about 5 years ago, I was at a film market and I was approached by Taiwan's national broadcaster, and they were really interested in exploring some of the policies that Indonesia and Taiwan were developing to try to improve the training of Indonesian migrant workers, and how that could then improve the working conditions in places like Taiwan. And so it got me thinking about, okay, there's a potential story here, and it wasn't until I started looking into it that I realized just how big the issue was, and actually how challenging it was for Indonesians to migrate abroad safely to work.
Being from a society that has it's probably not known to have migrant workers or having helpers in the homes, does that make you more objective in seeing the issues here? Because probably in Asia, well, if you're in Indonesia, or you're in Singapore, or just in Asia in general, people are used to having domestic workers, right? Does that give you a more objective view on it?
I'm not sure it would make me more objective, because then I come with a different lens then. Because it is foreign to me, I might experience it quite differently to somebody who's grown up with a nanny. Like now with my own children, we have house help, and we've had Batina for more than 7 years since our first child was born. And so it's become very, very personal for me too. So yeah, I guess I wouldn't say more objective, but I come at it from a different perspective. And I guess the other side to it is we tried to, like with Homebound and with our previous film, Help Is On The Way, we try to let the women themselves tell their stories. It's not for us to tell their story. We try to provide a platform for them to have a voice.
Why did you choose Tari as your main character? Is Tari based on a real person, or is this I guess a combination of different real different people that you put into one?
No, Tari is real. And Tari we met in late 2018, early 2019, when we were filming our feature documentary, Help Is On The Way. And in that film, we were exploring two different women who were training and then traveling to Taiwan. And then we were looking for two women that were already working in Taiwan that could represent that side of the story. And to be honest, we were looking for a positive angle. We were looking for someone who's been successful in working abroad. And so when we were researching and meeting with people, we discovered Tari had been a published author and was quite well known amongst the migrant worker community. And then when we reached out to her, we discovered that she was studying online university and she had been in Taiwan for more than 10 years. And we thought, oh, this is great. There's a really interesting woman who's doing more than what a lot of the others are doing. So it's not that she's more important, but she's working and she's studying and she's trying to improve her position. But then she also is experiencing challenges like a lot of migrant workers do. So not having the rights when it comes to how many hours are worked and which days she has off, and especially with the COVID pandemic, having lockdowns that were only applicable to migrant workers. So she was a very complex person, and for us as filmmakers, it becomes very interesting to show the light and the shade in the films.
Okay, now moving on now to Wulang. Wulang, the movie was initially planned to be a typical documentary, but it was turned to an animation due to the pandemic. What changes did you have to make, and how much did it cost? And tell us the process in turning a live action. It's not real live action. It's a documentary. It's a live documentary into an animation. And what are the challenges in that?
Actually, making this animation documentary really challenging, because the first one, we always need to listening to the story of from the subject. That is the most important things that we need to do first. So in this project, when Nick reached out me, he tell about the story first, and then he give me the script from Tari narration, and then we met in Jakarta. We brainstormed the idea of the film, how it will be visualized, the story. So that part is the most interesting, because we not only me, but it also Nick and Sofia, and also Ete, the director. We brainstorm the idea. We refer to the film before, The Help Is On The Way, and then I think the thing that important is to make it feeling realistic, but it also give space for imagination, because I think that's the power of animation. We can tell the story using what do you call it? The animation have a special ability that maybe live action can do. So in the brainstorming, we mostly talking about that.
Oh, I see. You know what? I have so many questions about the film itself, and from the animation, also from the story and what you want to achieve from this. But we're gonna save that for the next segment. So because this is just getting much more interesting. So make sure to stay right here on the Daily Wrap Up. And welcome back to the Daily Wrap Up on See Today, broadcasting from home. And we are talking about the documentary animation film Homebound. And we are also talking to the film's producer, Nick Calpakdjian, and animator Wulang Suni. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for joining us again for the interview tonight. I want to ask again to Mas Wulang regarding animation. Why did you choose this particular style for the animation of Homebound?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because in the first step, we try, and Nick also give me some reference that maybe we can develop for this film. So, and then yet we choose this style because in my mind, and when we talk about animation documentary, we want to, approaching the reality with the imaginative way. So I just using like a brush. It's like a brush and then sketch. So usually when I used to study in university, we have to sketch from real life. So we can learn from your surrounding, from the reality around you. So maybe that's why we choose that kind of style. We still want to the audience feel the realistic ambience of the animation. The audience can see how the brush is being drawn in the animation. So that's about the style, I think.
Yeah, well, the film itself does show a lot on I guess life in Taiwan, right? Do you have to go there yourself to see and get a feel of it and to be able to I guess translate it into that animation?
Yeah, maybe that's one of the things that we can do from animation. We don't need to go there, but we can see from videos, or we can read from articles about the ambience, and then we can learn from that, and then we visualize it like what we got in the resources. So yeah, I think that's how we do with the Homebound. So Nick give me some reference photos, and also help is on the way first, and then so I can got the vibe of the city, the people. So yeah, actually that's the process.
But the scenes in Indonesia, probably it would be more familiar to create an animation, right?
Even the scene in Indonesia, even we know the surrounding, we still need to go there to observe the Tari's house, and then meet with Tari's mother and Tari's son, so we can get more ambience, more precisely, maybe.
You add more realism, yeah.
Yeah. So we can add more realism, even though it's animation.
Right. Where's the hometown of Tari, if I may ask?
It's in Kendal.
It's in Kendal. All right. All right. Let's talk about the message itself, and also the audience. Who are the intended audience for this documentary? Let me ask Nick.
Yeah, I mean, the audience is quite varied. When we think about the message in the film, the message is really about having empathy for migrant workers and treating them with the respect and dignity that they deserve and that we all deserve as humans. And so the message is about valuing their work, acknowledging their contribution to society, and really trying to improve their working conditions. And so to do that, I mean, we want this film should be seen by migrant workers, so migrant workers can see themselves on screen. they will be able to identify with different parts of Tari's story and her life and her challenges and feel that they're being represented. But we're really giving this film to the various organizations such as Migrant Care and SBMI and the many others that are in Indonesia and Southeast Asia that are actually doing the hard work when it comes to advocating for the rights of migrant workers, trying to get policy change within the government to improve their working conditions. And so we're making those people our audience so that these organizations watch the film, believe in the film, and then can use it as a tool to further the work that they're doing.
All right. As a background, can you share with us, I'm sure you've done the research as well, how many Indonesian migrant workers are in Taiwan at the moment?
Oh, in Taiwan specifically, I'm not sure. I know it's the second highest number in Southeast Asia, but I think it's around 35,000 or so. But at any one time, there's about 110 or 120,000 migrant workers leaving Indonesia every year. The biggest lot is going to Hong Kong, but then around 35,000 are going to Taiwan.
This is a documentary. Is there a specific goal in when you're planning for this to shoot and to make this documentary? When you're I guess putting together a shot list of the film. Are there any specific issues that you're trying to address here? Perhaps it's how the migrant workers are they're given all these promises by the agents before they leave, or is it how maybe in terms of repatriation, or is it more on this is what happens when a thing called something like a pandemic would happen and they're not able to go home while they have to they want to live a normal life and not be away from their family for so long, just to meet with them again. Which part is are the main concerns here?
Yeah, it's a really good question. The thing with documentary and really the kinds of films that we make, we always set out with a particular idea and a theme, but we always have to be open to how it changes. And we first conceptualized this film before the pandemic, and the film was always going to actually be a film where Tari actually came home. We thought there's been films like ours and others that are made about migrant workers abroad and the conditions and things that happen there, but no one's talking about what happens when they come home and have they improved their lives, what's the family dynamic, how do these things work. And so we were pitching this film, but then the pandemic happened and basically Tari said, I can't come home. They're freezing contracts. The new migrant workers that were seeking to go abroad couldn't leave. So they'd paid money to do the training and get their visas and passports, and then they're stuck in Indonesia. And then you've got thousands of Taris who are stuck abroad, basically being coerced into signing on to new contracts, but then also not able to afford to get home because the price of flights has gone up. The logistics of quarantining, everything like that becomes more expensive. So yeah, we have to pivot the theme and the messaging in the film, and really what got this one going was the Kurawal Foundation were interested in exploring what effect has the COVID pandemic had on migrant workers. And so we used that as our starting point. And when we started to ask that question with Tari, we started to reveal all sorts of other issues that were going on in her life that she had experienced before and that she was continuing to experience because of the COVID pandemic. So yeah, there is a lot going on in the film, and it's not, it's only a short film. It's 17 minutes long. It can't do everything, but what it wants to do is to spark a conversation. So when people watch this film, they start to question, why does Tari have to experience these challenges, and how do we support people like her from not having to go through these kinds of experiences?
Do you think it became, I guess, a better or more unique film after it was finished than it was initially conceptualized?
Yeah, it's a tough question because, like, I've worked with the director Ismail on a few films now, and he has a very particular visual style, and we tried very hard working with Wulang to ensure that Edtek's vision or Ismail's vision and the way he likes to move the camera was replicated in the animation. And like Wulang was saying, how it's important to go back to Kendall and really get a feel for people. I think I'm not going to say this is a better film than the live action version might have been. We would never know. But what I think is really great about this film and what's become apparent to us is that animation is a lot easier for people to sit down and watch. Like, especially in our region, documentary and social issue documentaries are not hugely popular and they're not well known. So if you say to someone, I would like you to watch a documentary about migrant workers, they might think, really? Why do I want to watch that? But if you put the word animation in and the key art is a really beautiful illustration that Wulang's done, then animation is quite popular through the region. And so you can hook the audience in with the color, and then the message gets through to them when they're not expecting it.
All right. Well, you know what, we look forward to more animation, especially those that cover, I guess, more difficult issues, such as this. Some issues that people don't normally tune into. Can you tell our audience where can we watch this and when we can watch Homebound?
Yeah, we're working now with a number of different organizations to hold screenings online and offline around Indonesia where we can. So if you go to our website, thehomeboundfilm.com, you can check out the screenings page there, and we'll keep that up to date with where all the screenings are. And the previous film, Help Is On The Way, was made available through Gojek's GoPlay app. So we'll be looking at doing similar things, getting the film available online so people can stream it on their phones and iPads or whatever. So check into the website.
All right, we'll check into it, and all the best. Let's hope for the most viewers as possible for this, so people become more aware and become more concerned and empathetic with our migrant workers.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for your time, Nick Calpakdjian and Wulang Suni, producer and animator for animated documentary Homebound. Have a nice evening.